The restaurant was packed for my sister Hannah's celebration party. Everywhere I looked, there were influencers with their phones out, documenting every moment of her journey to 1 million followers. The authentic Chinese dishes our parents had spent 30 years perfecting were being reduced to Instagram backgrounds. Isn't it amazing, May? Hannah gushed, adjusting her designer dress in front of yet another ring light. From a small family restaurant to this, Mom and Dad would have been so proud. My name is Mai Chen, and I was watching my younger sister celebrate building her social media empire with money stolen from our family's legacy. Golden Dragon had been the heart of Boston's Chinatown for 3 decades. Now it was just another backdrop for Hannah's perfectly curated life. You should be thanking me, she continued, checking her reflection in her phone. I've made our restaurant famous. Look at all these influencers posting about it. I glanced around at the crowd, none of whom were actually eating the food. They were too busy taking photos, rearranging dishes for better angles, letting everything go cold in pursuit of the perfect shot. The restaurant's account is empty, Hannah, I said quietly. The suppliers are threatening to cut us off. She waved dismissively. Details. Once my lifestyle brand launches, we'll make it all back and more. Trust me, nobody wants to eat in some old-fashioned Chinese restaurant anymore. They want experiences, content, something Instagram-worthy. What she meant was that she drained our parents' life's work to fund her transformation from restaurant heir to social media star. The authentic recipes, the loyal customers, the traditions our parents had brought from China, none of that mattered to her anymore. Besides, she added, scrolling through her phone, I've already signed a deal to renovate the whole place. We're going modern, minimal, totally aesthetic. The traditional look is so last season. My phone buzzed. A message from Uncle Wei, our head chef and the only person besides me who knew what I'd been planning. The food critic is here. Everything ready? Yes, I typed back. Let the show begin. Hannah had no idea that her perfect celebration was about to turn into something very different. She thought she'd successfully hidden her financial manipulation of the restaurant's accounts, using her business school knowledge to move money around until there was nothing left. What she didn't know was that I'd been tracking every transaction, every transfer, every penny she'd stolen to build her influencer lifestyle. Speech, someone called out, and Hannah practically glowed as she made her way to the front of the restaurant. Our parents' traditional red lanterns cast an ironic light on her completely westernized appearance. The blonde highlights, the cosmetic procedures, the designer clothes that cost more than a month's worth of restaurant revenue. A year ago, she began, her voice practiced and camera ready. I decided to take our little family restaurant into the modern era. Everyone told me I was crazy, that I should just stick to serving traditional Chinese food like my parents did, but I knew we could be more. I watched from behind the bar as she continued her carefully rehearsed story, transforming our parents' immigrant success story into her own tale of social media triumph. None of her followers knew that while she was posting about elevating Asian cuisine and honoring her heritage, she was systematically destroying everything our parents had built. My phone buzzed again, this time from Jenny, my best friend and a financial forensics expert. Documents ready, just waiting for your signal. I thought back to how this all started. After our parents died in a car accident 2 years ago, Hannah and I inherited Golden Dragon together. I took over the day-to-day operations while she handled marketing and finances, her business degree making her the obvious choice for managing the money. At first, her social media presence seemed helpful. Her posts brought in younger customers and her initial content actually featured our authentic dishes. But then she started changing things, bit by bit. First, it was modernizing the menu to make it more Instagrammable. Traditional dishes were replaced with fusion creations that looked better in photos but lacked the soul of our parents' cooking. Then came the renovations, replacing our mother's hand-picked decorations with generic modern artwork, covering our father's carefully chosen wallpaper with minimalist white paint. The first warning sign of financial trouble came 6 months ago, when suppliers started calling about late payments. Hannah assured me she was handling it, that we were just investing in growth. That was around the same time she started posting about her luxury vacations, designer shopping sprees, and celebrity meetups. I wanted to believe her. She was my sister, after all. But then I found the transfer records showing how she'd been systematically draining the restaurant's accounts to fund her influencer lifestyle. Me. Hannah's voice cut through my thoughts. Come up here. Let's show everyone the sister duo behind Golden Dragon's transformation. I plastered on a smile and joined her at the front, playing my part in her perfectly choreographed celebration. The crowd of influencers raised their phones, recording everything. Perfect. Thanks to my amazing sister, Hannah continued, squeezing my shoulders, for keeping things running while I built our brand. I know change is hard, but trust me, this is just the beginning. If only she knew how right she was about that. My phone buzzed one more time. Uncle Y again. Food critic finishing his meal. Review going live in 10 minutes. I checked the time. Right on schedule. Hannah was still talking, outlining her grand plans for the restaurant's future. We're going to be the most Instagram-worthy Asian fusion spot in Boston. I've already lined up collaborations with major brands, influencer dinner parties, sponsored content deals. That's when the first notification hit her phone. Then another, and another. Her perfectly practiced smile faltered as she glanced at her screen. What is this? I watched as she read the food critic's review, not just any critic, but the most respected voice in Boston's culinary scene. The review that systematically destroyed every change she'd made to our parents' restaurant while exposing the truth about her authentic Asian cuisine journey. This isn't just a bad review, she whispered, scrolling frantically. He's talking about the finances, about the supplier problems. How did he know? The same way he knew about the bounced checks, I replied calmly, and the maxed out business credit cards. And the loans you took out in the restaurant's name to pay for your influencer lifestyle. The crowd of influencers was still recording, their ring lights illuminating Hannah's increasingly panicked expression as more notifications flooded in. May, she hissed, grabbing my arm. What did you do? Me? I smiled. I just made sure the truth about Golden Dragon's transformation reached the right people. Her phone was blowing up now. Comments, DMs, news alerts. The carefully curated image she'd built was crumbling in real time, all while her million followers watched. The next hour was like watching a social media empire collapse in real time. As Hannah stood frozen in the middle of Golden Dragon, her phone kept buzzing with notifications, each one another crack in her perfectly curated facade. These numbers can't be right, she muttered, scrolling frantically through the financial documents I'd made public. How did they get access to the accounts? You mean the accounts you created to hide money from the restaurant? I asked quietly, or the ones you used to fund your authentic Asian lifestyle content? The crowd of influencers was getting restless, their phones still recording everything. This wasn't the kind of content they'd expected from Hannah's million-follower celebration, but it was certainly getting more engagement than her usual posts. Stop recording, Hannah snapped at them. This is private. But it was too late. The live streams were already going viral, with viewers watching in real time as Boston's fastest-rising lifestyle influencer faced the truth about her success. My phone buzzed. Jenny again. Financial investigation documents received by all major news outlets. Story breaking in 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, Hannah's phone lit up with a breaking news notification. Social media star accused of embezzling family restaurant funds to fund influencer lifestyle. You planned this, Hannah whispered, her designer mascara starting to run. All of it. Uncle Wei appeared at my side, holding a stack of papers. The suppliers are here, he said in Mandarin. They want to speak with the real owner. Hannah's eyes widened. Real owner? I'm just as much owner as me. Not anymore, I replied, taking the papers from Uncle Wei. Not since you signed over your share of the restaurant to cover your personal debts. I never signed anything. Actually, you did. Remember all those brand collaboration contracts you were so excited about last month? You should have read the fine print. The color drained from Hannah's face as she remembered the stack of documents she'd signed during one of her live streams, too busy talking to her followers to actually read what she was signing. That's not legal, she protested. It's perfectly legal, Jenny said, stepping forward with more documentation. Just like it's perfectly legal for us to submit evidence of financial fraud to the authorities. The restaurant had gone quiet, the influencers finally lowering their phones as they realized they were witnessing something more serious than social media drama. But my followers. Hannah looked around desperately. They believe in me. They trust my content. Do they? I pulled up her latest posts on the big screen we'd installed for her celebration. Let's see what they're saying now. The comments were flooding in. Can't believe she stole from her own family. All that honoring my heritage content was fake. Those designer hauls were bought with stolen money. Unfollowing immediately. Hannah watched in horror as her follower count began to drop. First by hundreds, then thousands. Her perfectly crafted image was unraveling with each new revelation. The brand deals, she gasped. The sponsorships. Already canceled, Jenny confirmed. No company wants to be associated with fraud. The suppliers who had gathered in the back of the restaurant stepped forward. Mr. Zhang from the produce company, Mrs. Liu from the seafood market, all the people who had trusted our family for decades. We trusted you, Mr. Zhang said in Cantonese. Your parents were honorable people. Hannah, who had never bothered to learn our parents' native language, looked to me for translation. But I just shook my head. Some things didn't need to be translated to be understood. What happens now? She asked, her voice small. Now? I gestured to Uncle Wei, who began bringing out dishes, the real dishes, our parents' recipes, the food that had made Golden Dragon famous long before social media existed. Now we go back to what this place was always meant to be. The aroma of authentic Chinese cuisine filled the air, replacing the smell of Hannah's overpriced scented candles. The food critics and real restaurant reviewers I'd invited began taking their seats, ready to taste what Golden Dragon was truly about. You can't just erase everything I built, Hannah protested weakly. No, I agreed. But we can rebuild what you destroyed. The question is, do you want to be part of that? Really part of it, not just using it for content. She stared at me for a long moment, then at her phone as another wave of notifications signaled more lost followers, more canceled deals, more exposed lies. I don't know how, she finally admitted. Start by learning, I said, handing her an apron. Start by remembering what Mom and Dad actually taught us, not what looks good on Instagram. The next few weeks were a time of transformation. Real transformation, not the superficial kind Hannah had promoted. We stripped away the modern minimalist decor, bringing back the traditional elements that told our family's story. The authentic menu returned, though we kept a few of the fusion dishes that actually worked. Hannah struggled at first. Years of focusing on appearance over substance had left her unfamiliar with real work. But slowly she began to learn how to prep ingredients, how to greet customers genuinely, how to find satisfaction in something real. Her social media presence changed too. Gone were the perfectly staged photos and fake storytelling. Instead, she began sharing genuine moments from the kitchen, real stories about our parents, honest posts about learning from her mistakes. Surprisingly, people responded. Her follower count never returned to 1 million, but those who stayed were genuinely interested in the real story of a family restaurant. One evening, as we were closing up, Uncle Wei brought out a bottle of beijiu, Chinese rice wine that our father had saved for special occasions. Your parents would be proud, he said in Mandarin, pouring 3 small glasses. Not of what happened before, but of what's happening now. Hannah, who had been studying Mandarin in her spare time, carefully responded in broken Chinese. I hope so. I looked around the restaurant, at the traditional decorations that each told a story, at the kitchen where real food was made with care, at my sister who was finally learning what our heritage actually meant. They would be, I said, raising my glass. Because this isn't about followers or likes or content. This is about family, about legacy, about remembering where we came from. Hannah nodded, understanding filling her eyes. To Golden Dragon, she said, her Chinese pronunciation still awkward but sincere. No, Uncle Wei corrected with a smile. To doing things right, because that's what really matters.